George, today's film is about a jazz musician. With that in mind, I thought it would be fun to discuss where the word jazz comes from.
You want to talk about jizz, right?
You got it! That's right, folks. Before it was jazz, it was called jism and jizz.
You're a child, Joe.
I am, but think about it. Rather than jazz at Lincoln Center, it could have been jizz at Lincoln Center.
Rather than jazz hands, it would be jizz hands.
There is a club in South Carolina called the Jazz Corner, but it could have been the Jizz Corner.
And all that jazz becomes all that jizz.
The PBS documentary would be called Ken Burns' Jizz.
Swing 46, Jizz and Super Club.
Birdland Jizz Club.
Any more?
The Montreal International Jizz Festival.
Are we done?
No. How about that basketball team, the Utah Jizz, or the New School of Jizz?
So you decided you wanted to write this episode's cold open just so we can say jizz over and over again.
You know me well. Oh, does this still work? The podcast looks at movies and asks, does this still work? I'm Joe Dixon.
And I'm George Romaka. Today we're discussing Bird from 1988 and some historical context.
That's Bird, not The Birds.
Or Birdman, whatever the rest of that title is. But first, podcasty stuff. We're excited to announce that we've joined the Creator Accountability Network. CAN is a nonprofit dedicated to reducing harassment and abuse through ethical education and a system of restorative accountability. We joined because we care about the safety and well-being of our community members. If you feel our behavior or content has harmed someone, please report it to CAN, either via the reporting form on their website, creatoraccountabilitynetwork.org, or via their hotline at 617-249-4255. They'll help us make it right and avoid repeating that mistake in the future. CAN also needs volunteers from our communities to help with their work, so if you have skills you think would be helpful, or time and a desire to help, please visit their website to find out how you can volunteer. Most importantly, get the word out to other creators who you think would be interested in getting credentialed. Help us build safer communities together. And I believe this episode will still drop before that happens. Look for CAN, because we are going to be in their annual fundraiser live stream reading of the play Monster on January 8th.
Yep, we will be there. Doing an excellent acting job. I'm a regular Juilliard graduate.
No, you're not. You graduated the new school.
Yes, but it's almost like I went to Juilliard.
Oh, okay. I didn't. You can reach us at dtswpod@gmail.com, on Facebook, Letterboxd, and our YouTube channel. Joe is on Blue Sky at joedixon.bsky.social. Please tell your friends about us, even the ones who play whatever fucking notes they want, and leave 5-star ratings everywhere. You can pick what we watch and get extra per episode content by funding us on Patreon for as little as $1 a month at patreon.com/dtswpod.
Don't you mean jizzing any note they want?
Yes, Joe, that's what I meant. I meant exactly what you just said. Yes.
I had to get one more in. Or out. I am a child. I'm sorry.
Yes, you are.
Now, George, take us back to 1988.
Okay.
And this is the way it was.
I was tempted to make this history segment a 101 on bebop music theory, but two things stopped me. First, I read ahead, and Joe has a question about why Charlie Parker was even a star to begin with, and that would be answered prematurely. And two, I know just enough jazz theory to be dangerous, but not enough to actually teach anything about it to anyone. So we're going to look at news stories about jazz from 1988, like we normally do in the history segment.
Makes sense.
Joe, give us our first headline from the Daily News of New York, New York.
A breath of freedom, jazz, slips into a Soviet club.
Vartan Tanoyan was 27 when he opened the Bluebird Jazz Club in Moscow. He lived with his mother and had a dog named Charlie Parker. His inspiration was solidified at age 11 when Duke Ellington toured the USSR and he got to shake hands. He saw the Gorbachev-era glasnost policies as an opportunity to bring a kind of freedom to the Soviet Union. Quoting, Many Soviet officials don't like jazz, Tenoyan said. Jazz will give people the opportunity to feel free. Jazz is one of the best languages of democracy. It speaks to people without translators. When people begin to feel free, they speak free and speak loudly, not just about jazz, but about politics, about everything. Jazz gives the people more fresh air. As a result, the availability of jazz, he says, is closely connected to the political atmosphere. To open such a jazz club was impossible during the Brezhnev era. The changes with Gorbachev helped very much.
Okay.
His club didn't serve alcohol.
Oh, well, that's a stopper right there.
Begrudgingly, because Gorbachev also had a hardline stance against alcoholism.
Did he not know he was in Russia? How can you be against alcoholism in Russia? Isn't that their national motto? Alcoholism. It's everything it's made up to be.
We drink because there's nothing else to do.
Exactly.
His club was also only allowed to play jazz on Wednesdays.
That's a weird. Why Wednesdays?
Well, as of May 1990, Communist Party officials shut Bluebird down. Today, Mr. Tenoyan is a composer, producer, and CEO of American record label Elephant Records, and promotes Brazilian and Cuban music in Russia and around the world.
Oh, okay. Good for him.
Yeah.
Do you know what Brazilian and Cuban music, what exactly does that constitute? Do you know? Like, is it jazz oriented? I don't even know.
I mean, Latin and jazz have a lot of overlap. But I think the Brazilian and Cuban music would have a lot more hand percussion instruments, like congas and bongos.
Got me.
So, Joe, give us our next headline from the Kansas City Star of Kansas City, Missouri.
The house the jazz built.
The first sentence in this article is, "The dedicated hipster takes his jazz very seriously." And it took me a good 10 minutes to get past it into an article about how kids these days are rediscovering their grandparents' music and falling in love with it. Again, in 1988. Most young musicians learn jazz in schools where the focus is on history and structure, and there's good reasons for that. You can't improvise if you don't know how music works, be that in an intuitive or an academic sense. You can't play just any notes you want and have it sound good to an audience. You have to know the rules before you can break them.
You know, interestingly enough, that is also what I heard in film school.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta know the rules first before you start breaking them. Don't decide you're a genius right off the bat. Show you actually know what the form is. Then you can do what you want.
Yep. No doubt about it, says Ira Gittler, co-author of the Encyclopedia of Jazz in the 70s. Continuing quoting him, "My point of view is that playing bebop was the highest form of playing, and it still remains the lingua franca of jazz because you have to combine the technical, the cerebral, and the emotional all in one. I think young musicians are challenged by that."
Okay, sure.
Do you know what lingua franca is?
The standard.
Not really. It's like a translation language. Like a lot of trade languages are lingua franca. It's a language that two people who don't speak the same language can use to still communicate.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I actually had to look that up. Because I'm like,
the word before, but I've never bothered to look at what it means.
Yeah.
I thought I knew by context, but apparently I didn't.
Some of those musicians that he's talking about were the Marsalis brothers. Fun fact about me, Wynton Marsalis' Big Train was the first CD I bought as an independent adult.
What do you mean independent adult?
Like, I was 18 before I left. Well, actually, I was living with my ex and her parents at the time. But, like, I was in boot camp. I was graduating boot camp. And when I got to go into fucking Chicago for a day, I, like, went to a music store, bought a CD player, and bought Wynton Marsalis' Big Train. Because it was, we played some of that in a marching band. We used that for one of our things. So I was, like, hankering for something that felt familiar, but that I hadn't listened to, like, because I'd never heard the original. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to.
Wynton is the one who curates the music over at the Jazz at Lincoln Center, right? Do you know? I believe it's him.
Is it? I have no idea.
And it's something we have yet to, we really at some point, my situation may have changed financially. hopefully by the summer, maybe we should go sometime. We just keep promising to do it. We've never done it.
Yes, we absolutely should. Yes, he is currently the artistic director of jazz at Lincoln Center.
Yeah, okay.
Huh. Learned something new. Finally, Joe, give us our last headline from the Los Angeles Times of Los Angeles, California.
Suddenly, jazz seems to be reawakening in laid-back San Diego. Fusion adds a new element, but to young fans, even the traditional jams now sound new and different.
This one gives us a brief history of jazz, particularly its first identity as a black music genre, at least until Benny Goodman created a mixed-race jazz orchestra and toured the country with it. Bassist Preston Coleman tells a story about the jazz club scene of 1946, when they had to fire their singer for being too fat.
Oh dear.
The article also notes that jazz clubs open and close all the time. Few can stick around long enough to really become institutions. But despite that, we have this quote. "There's never been a time for jazz like now," said Billy Riley, managing director of the Horton Grand Hotel. "For so long, you wondered if anyone was interested at all, but now people are coming downtown for jazz." And really, this is always going to be true. There is never a time like right now for jazz. You don't need to know what a 2-5-1 progression or a tritone substitution is to enjoy hearing it, and it's a genre of the history steeped in rebellion and counterculture.
Yeah, and we'll get into it later when we start discussing the film. I don't want to say my problem with jazz, because I don't really have a problem with it. But one of the things I noticed and listened to the music on this movie, and just a lot of different times I've heard jazz, I'm so accustomed to hearing it in commercials or in the background of something, that the idea that it's revolutionary or rebellion, even though that is the basis for it, just doesn't feel the same.
I think you should know a little bit of the music theory in order to understand why it is. But we'll get there.
No, I get it. I understand.
Hey, Joe, what's the word?
Bird is the word. Bird.
Bird is the word. So let's talk about Bird.
Yes, let's do that. Okay, this was directed by Clint Eastwood. And as an actor, we saw him in Dirty Harry for the podcast. As an actor and director, I've seen his work in Play Misty for Me, High Plains Drifter, The Outlaw Josie Wales, Pale Rider, Unforgiven, $1 Million Baby, Gran Torino, and Invictus. As a director, I've seen his work in Juror Number 2, and as an actor, I've seen him in The Good, the Bad, the Ugly, and Thunderbolt and Lightfoot. Wait a minute, are you telling me you've never seen any Clint Eastwood movies?
Nope, sure haven't, Joe.
Wow, that is amazing to me. All right, anyway, it was this movie, and it's written by Joe Oliansky. Let's get into the blurbs. IMDb says, the troubled life and career of jazz musician Charlie Parker.
This is such a beautifully short and sweet blurb that the next one feels like a war crime.
Yes, indeed. Next one is, of course, from YouTube. And it says, Academy Award-winning director Clint Eastwood, Letters from Iwo Jima, Flags of Our Fathers. A well-known, long-standing jazz aficionado delivers a compassionate portrait of jazz visionary Charlie Yardbird Parker. Eastwood, who won a Golden Globe for Best Director for this film, also paints a vivid portrait of the jazz world in all its complexity. Academy Award, Golden Globe, and Emmy Award winner Forest Whitaker, the last King of Scotland, phone booth, as Parker provides a multifaceted performance that helps provide an understanding of the man's genius and tragedy. Co-starring Diane Venora, the insider Heat, who, along with Whitaker, was nominated for a Golden Globe for her performance in this picture. Bill Cobbs, Night at the Museum, The Hudsucker Proxy, John Witherspoon, the Friday movie series TV's The Wayne Brothers, and Tony Cox, Bad Santa, epic movie. This music-driven film was an Academy Award winner for Best Sound.
God, that blurb was enough to make you want to drink iodine.
That was so very long and very unfair to some of the performers, I think, because some of these people are barely in it. And Tony Cox has one scene. He could have been uncredited. He just basically, he talks to the mic, introduces the band, and that's it. That's all I like to see of the band. It's ridiculous. Oh, I do have to wonder, though, and I should know this as I did study film. How can you tell who has best sound? I mean, literally, as long as I can hear it, you have the best sound. For me, the best sound is I can't hear the dialogue. That's a bad sound.
I can listen to the first episodes of our podcast and more recent ones. We have better sound now. We sound better now.
Yes, I'm sure that's the case, but still, I don't know how one... And I actually was explaining this, but I don't remember what the explanation was, how they determined what is best sound to win an Academy Award, how this sound is better than that sound.
It's all opinions. That's how.
Well, for sure. Okay, let's get into the characters. Charlie Parker is played by Forest Whitaker. In our podcasting viewing, we've seen him in Good Morning Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
And we both seen him in Black Panther and Rogue One, A Star Wars Story. For myself, I've seen him in The Last King of Scotland, Sorry to Bother You, Dope, and A Rage in Harlem.
And I've seen him in Mr. Holland's Opus and Battlefield Earth.
My God. So you're one of the few people who saw Battlefield Earth.
Yep.
Blackmailed? How did you...
Nope.
Were you just bored that day? Why the hell did you see
Yep.
that movie? That is listed as one of the worst films ever made.
It is.
Okay, Chan Parker is played by Diane Venora, and I've seen her in Heat and The Cotton Club.
And I've seen her in Romeo plus Juliet and The Jackal.
Red Rodney is played by Michael Zinnecker, and Dizzy Gillespie is played by Samuel E. Wright.
And I've heard him as Sebastian in The Little Mermaid.
Oh, okay. Buster Franklin is played by Keith David, and we've both seen him in Crash for the podcast. And I've seen him in The Nice Guys, American Fiction, and Death at a Funeral.
I've seen him in Volcano, Armageddon, and Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and heard his voice work in Hercules, Final Fantasy, The Spirits Within, and Coraline.
Okay. So let's get into the plot here. For those of you who may not remember or maybe haven't seen the film, but are listening to our podcast anyway, for which we thank you. All right, so Charlie Parker was a jazz musician whose biggest success came about in the 1940s and early 50s. Like many artists, he had a drug problem. His favorite? Heroin. According to what I've read over the years, I get the impression that while heroin brought down a lot of jazz greats, including someone like Billie Holiday, the actual drug of choice among most jazz folks was weed. Louis Armstrong was a smoker, I believe. Thelonious Monk was a weed smoker. Miles Davis, of course. And even Bing Crosby loved the ganja.
I could buy that. I could see that.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Have you ever seen the kinds of ideas that people who are high have? That gels very nicely with jazz.
Okay, I thought specifically you was mentioning Bing Crosby. Like, what? Why?
No. Just jazz musicians in general.
Okay. That really doesn't have anything to do with the movie. I just wanted to share that. Anyway, yes. Charlie Parker was a drug addict. He also, according to the film, wasn't such a great husband. His wife, Chan Parker, plays a very big part in this film, although she doesn't seem to do a lot except cry and fight with her husband while going out and getting him gigs when he couldn't do it himself. One scene that sums up the relationship for me is when Charlie and Chan hear their baby crying. Charlie is drunk, so Chan doesn't want him to pick the baby up. They argue over this while the kid is screaming its head off, and then suddenly they go into the next room and the child is completely forgotten about. We don't even hear the kid crying anymore. And that's how I felt about Chan all through the movie. Stuff is introduced and then dropped. I just didn't get it. Anyway, another person important to Charlie was Dizzy Gillespie, who also smoked pot, by the way. He was very open about it, but this movie makes him seem like he just got back from a DARE meeting. He lectures Charlie so much about his drug use and irresponsibility that I'm certain those conversations never took place, at least not in the way it's presented. In fact, the depiction of drug use beyond booze is incredibly chaste. We never see Charlie Parker use any illegal substance. It's all implied. The only time we actually see anyone scoring is when Charlie Parker's friend, Red Rodney, brings some drugs back to Parker's room, much to Charlie's annoyance, since he's not proud about his using. Nor is he crazy about upcoming jazz musicians thinking they need to use H to be as good as him. I actually read a bit about Red Rodney because I thought maybe the film made him up. No. He was a real person. And just like in the movie, he did go to deeply segregated South as part of Charlie's band and pretend he was an albino because he was white and Jewish and that sort of race mixing was not allowed. He also really went to jail for his drug use. In fact, and this isn't in the movie, I read it on Wikipedia, in 1975 he went to prison for possession of narcotics. Although, at least he lived to be 66 years old, unlike Charlie Parker, who would die at 34.
Mm-hmm.
One person who was entirely made up, though, is Buster Franklin, which is weird because there really was a man named Henry Franklin Buster Smith. He was a saxophonist who Bird, that was what Charlie Parker's nickname was, if you haven't figured out, folks, was influenced by. This film, however, presents Buster as a man who gave up on jazz after hearing Bird play and decides to go into rock and roll instead, which was just emerging in the 50s. But Bird would be dead before rock became a thing, so the likelihood he would stumble upon a packed room of rock fans going nuts for Buster's sax playing is total fiction. George, anything you want to add?
Not really. I mean, we mentioned that he dies, like, he dies not cheating on his wife, but, like, he dies in the company of somebody else, like, who has to inform his wife that he died.
Well, she's a friend of the family.
She's a friend of the family, yeah.
Yeah, because they both know her.
No, he was cheating on his wife when their daughter died.
Yeah, he was with another woman, yeah, but not that woman he's with. That's that one he's not cheating with.
But yeah, he died at 34. Like, he burned bright and hot.
Yep, he did. Okay, let's get into the discussion.
Mm-hmm.
A big problem I had with this film is that I never understood what made Charlie Parker a star. Jazz has become so mainstream that none of the music played here sounds especially revolutionary to me. At one point, Disney mentions a gig being canceled because bebop was seen as corrupting the youth. But other than black people playing it, it's hard to see what the big problem was. And what do you think, George? You understand the theory. What am I missing here?
Remember that thing about having to know the rules before you could break them?
Mm-hmm.
He had an intuitive understanding of the rules, and then he started breaking them. And nobody was ready for him to start breaking them. When you're playing with when you're jamming with a group, right? You have a chord progression that you're following, and pretty much everything you're playing is in those chords. Every note that you play is a part of those chords, or an extension note of those chords, like a flat seventh or a second or a suspended fourth. What Charlie did is go meta with it, like doing tritone substitutions, which is like the most dissonant notes you could play together are a tritone. It's like halfway up the keyboard from each other. And what that does is it sets you up to still return to the chord that you're in as a resolution. So it can sound fucking bizarre for a second, but it still comes back home, so you're not dwelling on it like sounding wrong. Mm-hmm. And he played fast, like super, like those runs that you see him do it. Like, he did that shit. And that was novel at the time. People weren't doing that, a whole lot of that, because there was nothing like, number one, it was hard to dance to it. Bebop took jazz away from being danceable a little bit because it was so up-tempo people couldn't keep up.
Right.
And the way it focused more on soloing individuals rather than an ensemble. Like, you had the rhythm section, but everybody would trade off, like, so even if you had a standard that you were playing, you'd do, like, the chorus of it normal. Then the middle of the song is just everybody taking turns soloing. And then you return to the chorus for the last thing. And you've played the song, which is not what people are used to. People are used to hearing the A, B, C, B, like, format or whatever of that song. So, like, it drew songs out longer, and it was a very self-indulgent form of jazz. And that's part of why it rubbed some people the wrong way, especially in the beginning.
Other jazz people.
Yeah.
So I guess in the sense that, so the progression would be from like a Benny Goodman or even a Bing Crosby who did music where you're supposed to dance to, and it was almost like a, I don't know, waltz? Would that be a proper way to say it?
Sure. I mean, you could do ballroom dancing to it.
Ballroom dancing.
Yeah.
Word for it, yeah. But, and Charlie Parker moved it away from that.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think that's really, I missed it if it's in the film. Where in the picture do you think that what you just expressed to me is there? Because I just missed it.
I don't think that Clint Eastwood did a good job telling this story, Joe.
Okay.
Because I don't think Clint Eastwood is a good storyteller. I watched him talk to a fucking chair.
Don't hold his politics against him.
I 100 will hold his politics against him.
He's actually a pretty good director, but yeah, this, I have to agree, this is not, this topic got away.
I have 2 examples of him directing a thing, and both times they took longer than they had to.
You can't, the cherry picker thing, it's not, you can't hold that against him.
Yes, I can. I 100% can hold anything I want to against him.
For those who don't know, in Dirty Harry, he didn't direct it, but there's one scene
That he did.
that he did direct, and it's just him going up in a cherry picker, and it just goes on and on and on.
Like this movie did.
Okay. Do you think the picture explains Bird's addiction?
No, it identifies his addiction. I mean, it kind of does. He said, like, he's suffering from these ulcers that are probably self-fucking created anyway, but it's the only thing that makes the pain go away.
Yeah, I guess that is.
I mean, we didn't have the Fuck the Pain Away song yet, so he didn't have that option.
Why do you suppose we never actually see him use any drugs, though?
Because it's Clint Eastwood.
It's so weird.
Like, you see the track marks.
We see track marks, we see him stumbling around, but at no point did we ever see him put a needle in or...
No, because you don't have to. Like, in fairness, this movie was super duper long because there was a lot of fucking music in it. There was a lot of just watching people play music in it.
Right. And that, what, do you think that's substituted for the drug use?
I mean, it was already 2 hours and 40 minutes long. We didn't need any extra, would like to see them doing the drugs.
What do you think of how Charlie's life is presented, his home life? The other thing we're gypped on that as well. I did not understand his wife at all. I really did. Now, that may be for real. For all I know, that may have really been their relationship.
Well, number one, they weren't married. They were common law married.
Common law wife, yeah.
But number two, like, she provided information to Clint Eastwood for this movie.
Yes, I understand. Yeah, so did Red Rodney, actually, yeah.
So I don't know what the fuck happened. I think Clint Eastwood has problems understanding things.
I also wonder, this is...
But also, people are flawed and just sometimes not good at being in relationships with each other.
Sure. This is something I've noticed in a lot of pictures that want to make the spouse seem like the good person. And I think that's the idea here, is that so they never indulge. Because that's also true in What's Love Got to Do with It. You know, what's his... Tina Turner and Ike, yeah, he's snorting up and we never see her use, which, I don't know. I think in most couples, especially if they're married, usually the spouse goes like, oh, I'm trying this, honey, would you try it with me, honey? And usually they do it at least once. The idea that they would never do it just doesn't seem plausible to me. So it's just weird that at no point does he ever offer, and she, although he feels bad about his use of heroin, so maybe he wouldn't offer it to her, but still, you would think she, other than smoking and alcohol, you'd think she'd be on other stuff, but nah. Especially since she hangs out with all these jazz musicians.
Right?
Anyway, Eastwood uses a non-linear structure to tell the story that didn't work for me.
I did. How many times has a non-linear structure caused me fucking pain?
Yeah, but when we do a non-linear, like, it's usually done by David Lynch or something, who is doing some freaky weird stuff. This is just a straight story, but it's done non-linearly. So, like, I'm lost here. And I'll give you an example. There is a scene where Chan goes to hear her future husband play, or, you know, common law husband play. But for some reason, when she goes to the club, we spend something like 8 minutes with the doorman trying to get people into the club. She just disappears from the scene, goes into the club, and suddenly we went to doorman. And then he has a conversation with Buster Franklin that made no sense to me, because why is that even there? Did that confuse you?
That was just trying to show, oh, he wasn't accepted yet. His style wasn't accepted yet, so Buster Franklin was ragging on him.
Yeah, I get that, and that would have been fine for a separate scene, but it's just weird the way it's set up. We see the wife or future, whatever she is.
Yeah.
Going to the club, and it's suddenly with the doorman. We're spending 8 or whatever minutes with him. For a minute, I thought he was going to be the narrator. Why are we spending time with this guy? He's a minor character we never see again. And then suddenly Buster Franklin comes over. Buster Franklin, this character could have talked to Dizzy Gillespie. He could have talked to some other jazz musician. Why is he talking to the doorman about? It just seemed unnecessary and weird. And again, why we spend so much time with that guy who's not even a major character? He's just there, and I swear, it must be at least 8 minutes. What do you think? How long is that guy there?
I don't know.
That scene goes on for a bit.
It does.
Okay, come into the club. Go to this other club and bothering those people. I'm like, what? Why are we seeing this? What?
Because like you're asking, I don't know how to answer that, Joe. Because somebody thought it would be a good idea to put in the movie. It didn't do anything for the movie.
It did nothing for the movie. That's why I'm confused. I thought the movie, and I guess you agree with me, was too long, and yet I didn't feel like I know who Charlie Bird Parker was by the end. How about you?
Yeah, no, Charlie Parker was a troubled man with a drug problem. That's the takeaway.
And that's all you get from this picture. He's a troubled man with a drug problem. But
who blew a mean sax?
Go ahead. Sorry, what?
Who blew a mean sax?
Who blew a mean sax? But I never got the sense of what a genius he was. I didn't understand his importance of film. And what's amazing...
I mean, it has these very small moments where he explains, like, we were playing Cherokee and I wanted to do this thing and I finally got a chance to, like... But that could have been made more of and given us more of an insight into him instead of it just being sort of a check the box to see, why is he playing that fucking flat 11th?
I mean, he has plenty of conversations with his friends, and yet most of it is never really about playing music. They could have inserted that stuff there. It's like, hey, I know you can play this way, and I did it for a long time, but I wanted to break it up, and I improvised, blah, blah, blah. He never does.
No.
They talk about anything and everything other than music, which is weird. All right, so I guess we know the answer, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Does this film work?
No. And not because of the subject matter. I think Charlie Parker is a fascinating person in history, and I think he played an important role in how music is today. Because everything that music ever was has had an influence on what it is today.
Yes. And
I don't think this film was a good vehicle for getting us to understand that. And I think that's what this film should have been. What it was confusing and disjointed. And I didn't enjoy it for that reason.
Yeah, I mean, I guess
I like jazz, and this had a lot of jazz in it. I think, it's a 2-hour, 40-minute movie. We don't watch movies more than 2 hours anymore, but I didn't say anything because I figured it's going to have a lot of jazz. I like jazz. I don't know. No, never doing that, making that assumption again.
Honestly, I did not realize how long the film was when I put it on the list, or put it on the list for all the other, because this was a wasn't this? Oh no, this wasn't me. I put it on. I'm thinking
Nope, you put this on.
But no, that just wasn't me.
Yep.
I didn't realize it was as long as it was. I just heard about it, and it's got good ratings.
It's got good ratings, fantastic fucking cast.
Yeah. Just did not work for us anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I do not think it works. I think it's just now. I guess the disjointedness could be, he could say, hey, that's sort of, I'm trying to capture Bird's music. But you failed.
Yeah, you didn't make me feel that. You didn't, no.
And I know, poor.
I want this to be inspirational and show what a rebel he was, so I'm going to make a piece of shit. That's the...
And it's because he actually is a good director, but George will never believe me because there's 2 examples of that Dirty Harry cherry picker scene in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
He does have talent. He really does as a director, honest. I am not blowing smoke up your ass. You just can't tell from this picture, unfortunately. Which, again, got great reviews at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Which I'm lost as to why. If it worked back then, it certainly doesn't work now.
People had more time on their hands.
They had more time on their hands. It wasn't a box office hit, but the critics really liked it and it got Oscar nominations and stuff, but whew, man, oh man, way too long and not coherent. That's all I can say. All right, let's move on. George, what's up next?
Our next episode is a Patron's Choice episode, and it looks like we'll be watching The Terminator from 1984. Which beat out Last Night from 1998 and The Road from 2009 in our apocalypse-themed poll. If you want to vote, but are not a patron, you can fix that by becoming one at patreon.com/DTSWpod.
Are you familiar with any of those films?
The Terminator, yes.
Did you see it?
Long time ago.
Okay, just curious if you actually saw it. Because you could have. Yeah, I mean, it was in 1984. You were, what, 3?
I mean, you're talking to me, who you've done a movie podcast with for 6 years now, who's seen almost no movies compared to you.
Yes.
So you can assume that I haven't seen stuff. I'll believe you. It's okay.
Well, I'm just curious. Maybe you could have seen Terminator later. As you said, you did. These are all good. I like my list here. I don't. Well, it'll be interesting to see Terminator because I know. Well, there's some things in it that definitely don't make any sense. if I remember correctly. So it'll be interesting to revisit and go like, oh, yeah, that still doesn't make any sense. Mm-hmm. Or maybe now it does. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, that's for our next time, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for now for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening indeed, because if a podcast drops and there's no one around to hear it, it's just another collection of ones and zeros that doesn't matter.
Bye-bye.
You've been listening to Does This Still Work? Produced by Joe Dixon and George Ramacca.
This content is CAN credentialed, which means you can report instances of harassment, abuse, or other harm on their hotline at 617-249-4255 or on their website at creatoraccountabilitynetwork.org.
The hosts can be reached via social media, email, or the contact page at dtswpod.com. Be good to yourself and others, because that still works.
Okay, George, let's talk about Bayard.
Nope.
No, that's your line.
Yep, sure the fuck is, Joe.
I was premature on that. I jizzed too early.
You premature ejaculation.
Okay, let me get it together.
From No Stupid Questions. Why do people think it's gross to pee in the shower? From Stupid Questions. Which, I don't know how stupid. This is just a question. How old were you when you moved out from your parents' house? Random question. If your younger self could see you now, what would they say? Alright, from No Stupid Questions. And I don't know why I have this on here, because you can't really answer it, but do married couples make out? Alright, from Stupid Questions. Where do I sign up to be a shill? And finally, random question. Do you go Black Friday shopping?